Kind needs to become part of your character. I want you to be kind to all of mankind, not just your kind, but to everybody, every age, every gender, every race. You be kind to everybody. Even animals, you be kind to them. I said, that's really Native American. The movie industry has made us out of the vicious people, but we are a kind-hearted people. Mm-hmm. We got to bring that back to our families and back to our communities. Kindness. I said, I tell them, you speak kindly to each other in a kind voice. You do kind things with them, kind things for them. And when they're not around, you speak kindly about them. Kindness has to be part of your character. Why? Because drinking is still legal. Drugs now is legal. And they know what their limitations are when it comes to those things. But no, they've never been told to be kind. And I work with them on being kind. And if you're married, you start with being kind to your spouse and your family. That's where you start. And I always scare them. I said, I'm going to ask your kids if you're kind. I would too. And number 2, you need to understand the importance of being useful. Useful. Ever work with people that are just lazy? They don't do jack. And even some women end up raising their husbands. They don't do jack. You become useful. And we develop a program where they're useful in the home. Now that doesn't mean you always have to have a job, because some people can't find employment. But there's always something to repair or to make. If nothing else, interact with your kids. Be useful to them. And we set out a plan to become useful. Because when you're useful, people want you, they miss you. Let me give you an example. My wife, my daughter, she's married to a Samoan from Samoa. I don't like when he comes through the house because he makes me look bad. I'm watching TV acting really cool, you know. I got the remote control. Well, that big old Samoan comes into the house. He says, "Hi, Dad," and he goes right to the kitchen to my wife. He helps my wife clean, cook, and I'm sitting there acting cool, and he's talking, he's interacting with my wife. He's helping her. He's useful. And when he's not around, we all miss him. Now, I got to take the garbage out before you do it. When you're useful, people want you around. Have you ever worked with somebody on the job that's not useful? Mm-hmm. Yep. You don't miss them. In fact, they just get in the way. Mm-hmm. So I teach these men and women, let's figure out a plan that we can be useful, and let's start right tonight, today. No program does that. Number 3. I say now the strongest thing you have going for you is not your muscles. And not even your tongue. It's pretty powerful, not even your tongue. It's your attitude. I work on their attitude. And some people, pardon my English, I'm going to say something that's not kind of naughty. Some people have a piss poor attitude. Mm-hmm. And they wonder, what's the problem? I'm sorry, you're the problem. You're the problem. Now, so let's work on your attitude. You know what? When you have a bad attitude, if you're married, you want to, as a marriage therapist, you kick yourself out of a good relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. You can be married to a wonderful woman or a man, and with your crummy attitude, you will soon kick yourself out of a good relationship. And that's the truth. And if you go to work with a bad attitude, you'll kick yourself out of a good job. So let's work on your attitude. And when you have a good attitude, it will make sense of your past. It will bring hope for the future. Attitude is powerful. And people don't understand how important. I've been a therapist for a long time, and I just focus on some of those things. Let's have an attitude where people, attitude will literally push people away or invite them into your life. You do that on your own. So let's figure out a way to invite them into your life. And what I do with my constant therapy, I would do this. Let's pick on a couple. A woman and her husband comes in. And she comes in crying, and she says, my husband has all these problems. Boom, he's this problem, boom, 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 boom. And then she says to me, in essence, fix him. You know what? We don't have the power to fix anybody. We do not have, I tell them, you do not, nor do I have the power to change anybody. You can even change your kids. But that's our business. But we don't have the power to change anybody, only ourselves. So I ask her, she comes in, I say, now, what did your husband do to make you mad? Well, let's say he does this. He criticizes you. Getting too fat. You laugh too loud. You don't comb your hair just right. Blah, 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 blah. This goes on and on and on. I said, well, what do you do? Well, I get mad. Sometimes I cry. I said, do those things work? No. Well, why do you keep doing it? Let's figure out something that does work. A good therapist, think about this now. A good therapist never, ever gives advice. Never. If you have a therapist that gives advice, my advice to you is get up and walk out because they don't know what they're doing. What a therapist does is that they figure out where you want to go. Let's say I want to go to the ocean. The ocean is that way, right? Am I right? Mm-hmm. But I'm walking this way, and you say, Al, where are you going? I'm going to the beach. Well, you're going in the wrong direction, Al. Well, I was told it was this way. No, Al, it's this way. A good therapist does this. They point them, they help their clients point them in the right direction. That way. Now, you ask them, how do you want to get there? If they want to crawl, let them crawl. As long as they're going in the right direction. If they crawl, you say, well, let me get you some knee pads and some gloves because it can be pretty hard on your body. Because it can take you a long time to get there. They'll soon come to you and say, I don't want to crawl anymore. Well, what do you want to do? I want to ride. Okay, you want to ride on a horse or a buggy? Well, how do you get? Let them tell you. It's their life, not yours. If they want to crawl, prepare them to crawl. If they want to ride, what do you want to ride in an automobile, okay? Back of a pickup? Or no. When they tell you, because they have to make their own choice of what they want to get there. Your job is to help them clarify what that is. Look at the alternatives. Okay? Now, anyway, back to my story. So I said, now to the person, you look at your attitude. Let's look what works in the past and what doesn't work. Because it's important to know what you want to do as opposed to what you don't want to do. What works, what doesn't work. And my job is to help you develop new ways of dealing with pressure and problems. You know why? Because all life is, every day of your life, every minute of your life, you're going to have to learn to solve your own problems. Mm-hmm. When you stop solving your problems, you now become the problem because you're not solving your problems anymore. That's why we have therapists and counselors and jails and police officers, because people aren't solving their problems. That's one of the jobs parents must do, is to teach your children how to solve problems, even with each other. If you teach your children how to solve problems with each other, guess what? You're only ensuring your kids will stay close together into adulthood. You know why? Because children bring strangers to the family called in-laws, and in-laws can cause a lot of problems. So if you teach your children how to solve problems between each other, guess what? When they get some grouchy in-law, then guess what? That's still a big problem between themselves. It's just a safety precaution to keep your families together. I teach people things to do like this. But they make their own, they run their own lives. So I teach them, let's look at your attitude. I really work on that. Then the fourth thing I work on is on becoming responsible. I tell them, I said, I have a nephew He's just the kindest guy you want to meet. Very kind. And he's very useful. When he goes to your house, he'll help you clean and he'll talk to you. He's very useful. He has a good attitude. But he's not responsible. He's not dependable. He's not. You know what? If you work with a person that's not responsible, dependable, reliable, you have problems. Now, when you do that, you should become predictable in a good way. Let me tell you, I have 3 kids who are police officers. I love law enforcement. And my wife and my daughter were CPS investigators. And they used to put people in jail, and I used to go to prison to try and get people out of jail. Anyway, I had 2 of my boys working in Tempe. They were police officers in Tempe. So if I wanted to cheat on my wife, I'm not going to cheat in Tempe, that's for sure.
No.
Not going to do it. Because if I get caught, I get found out real fast. Now I travel, I've been all over the world. Now, let's say I'm in Tokyo, Japan. Is it okay to cheat on my wife there? Nobody knows me in Tokyo. Is it okay to cheat there?
No.
Can my wife, can my children, can my grandchildren predict grandpa's not going to cheat on his wife, on grandma?
No.
I should be predictable to people. That's not a weakness, that's a strength. We got to bring that back to our people to become responsible, reliable, dependable individuals. So I work with those, my fathers and mothers, to be kind, to become useful, to have a good uplifting attitude, and to become responsible. Now part of that, I tell them about the native way. Can you take that one? I'll put the one there about the 3 pillars. Is this stuff helpful? I know it's kind of getting late here. I got 10 more minutes left. I'm all right?
Yeah.
If Nick says I'm okay, I'm okay. Okay. Not the one on the 3 pillars. Okay. So when I work with as a clinician, I work on 3 things. I work, number 1, on their self-worth. Can I take this out? Come on. Try to read that. Oh, okay. I'm going to try to read this to you. Okay, great, stop right there. I want my people to become a good, decent, honorable person. Let me tell you why. Because when you start to change, when you start to really change your life, you need one characteristic that a lot of therapists don't know. You have to have your clients develop courage. Not guts, not more knowledge, but courage. Because there's going to be they can be giving fear to change. It can be scary to change. Because you may have to turn people down like your family or your friends. It takes courage to change. So I say, I want my clients to be a good, decent, honorable individual. And when you do that, you are actually developing courage, becoming courageous. Because there are 2 kinds of spirits on this earth. They're good and they're bad. Okay? And the destroyer we call one, the destroyer that we call the creator. And the destroyer, one of his best tools is discouragement. So he doesn't like courageous families. You know why? Because they stick together through the good times and the bad times. Mm-hmm. So I want my clients to be courageous individuals. Because one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life is to raise a family. And then you need courage to do that. So people that do we have any single parents in this room raising children? Raise your hand. The single parents that are raising children, you know what? You are today's true heroes. You know why? Because it takes 2 responsible adults to raise a good family. And if you do that on your own, you're a true hero. Now, do you have any grandparents in here raising grandchildren? A couple of you. If you're grandparents raising your grandkids, you are also today's true heroes. Mm-hmm. I'm 76. I I wish I was 60, but I'm 76, and I can't climb a ladder like I did when I was 30 years old. I just can't do it. So it takes 2 young people to raise a good family, not 2 old people. So if you're a grandparent raising grandkids, you are, again, today's true heroes in my book. Now, next slide. I work on 3 things: self-worth, identity, and purpose. Next one. Let me just read this here. This is what I wrote. Much of a person's self-worth is tied to the safety and well-being as a child and the strength of the relationship to parents. It is important to realize how parents greatly influence their children's lives. How and what they have been taught, both good and bad, is vital in forming self-worth. It is the parents that lay the foundation of life, not schools, churches, friends, treatment programs. It's the parents that lay the foundation. And understand this, what a child learns at home lasts the longest. Now, next slide. Let me just back at that one more time. Back up. All important decisions has a direct correlation to your self-worth, like friendship patterns, who you marry. I had a client not too long ago. She'd been in prison for 15 years. She got out. She met this guy. And of course she said, I love you, all that, that good stuff. And she's kind of nice, and it's different this time. She was with him for 3 years. 3 years. He broke her nose 7 times in 3 years. 7 times. Who would allow someone to do that to them? A person that has a low self-worth. She thinks that's all she deserves. I've known people who have been married to a guy or a gal for over 30 years, and they're treated like crap, but they still stick with that person. Because of self-worth. You give them good self-worth, and people begin to change on their own. Strong self-worth brings self-care. You take care of yourself. It doesn't mean you're selfish, it means you're responsible. It means you're finally maturing, you take care of yourself. Self-control. Was the other one self-what? Self-motivate. You can motivate yourself to get things done. Okay, self-confidence. Now, everyone has value and worth. When you look at a client, this is what I was taught. Teach my father says. Let's say I see a beautiful lady, okay? Oh man, she's hot.
Oh!
You know what I do? My dad said, listen, son. When you see a beautiful lady, the first glance can be as a woman, as a man. Yes, she is hot. But the second look you look at her as this. She's somebody's little girl. She's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's mother, baby. You look at her differently. Yes, the first glance can be as a man, but the next look you look at her as a totally different person. This woman has value. She's important to somebody else. How dare I want someone to look at my daughters like that? Mm-hmm. Like a piece of meat. No, this woman has value, and I got to teach my men to do that. I teach my men this is a real native way. I tell them. The greatest creation of the Creator, I tell them, the greatest creation of God is not the universe. It's not the earth. The greatest creation of the Creator is womanhood. Woman, because it is a woman that brings life to, it is a woman that renews life to earth. A man can't do it. I'm sorry, Bruce Jenner just can't do it. Now, not only does a woman renew life, every time she gives birth to a child, what she has done, she has renewed purity and innocence back to the earth. Man, that's what Native people really value, pure innocence. It doesn't stop there. It is a woman that sustains life. She would breastfeed that child. Some guys have big breasts, they got no milk in that breast. Why do I tell my father's mother this? Because when you really appreciate something, you take better care of it, don't you? Yeah, you value it, but you got to appreciate it. And then I say, you know what? The strongest thing on this earth, okay, the greatest creation of the Creator God is womanhood. The strongest thing on this earth is not armies. It's not politicians, although they feel like they are, but they're not. It's not politicians. It's not gangbangers. You know what it is? It's the soft, tender heart of a loving and caring mother. There is nothing stronger than that. The soft, tender heart of a loving and caring mother. I want all women, whether you have children of your own or not, all women to develop the heart of a loving and caring mother. I tell my fathers and mothers this. If we're going to turn our people around, we don't need more therapists. We don't need more police officers. We need more loving and caring mothers. They're the secret weapon of turning our people around. You know that? So I tell them a lot of stories. One of the stories I tell them is this. During World War II, when these young, strong Marines were invading the beaches of Normandy and Iwo Jima, you know what they were doing? They were being shot and wounded and dying on the beaches. And when they were dying on the beaches, what were they crying for? For their cars? No. What were they crying for? For their moms, for their mothers. When I go to prison, these men are still crying for mothers. What are you doing in prison, women? I tell them. Because you want to please a guy? You've been fooled, people. The prison is has a lot of good women and men in there, but they've been fooled. I said, I'm teaching you Native American 101. I said, you know what? Man, a true traditional Native American man is this kind of guy. Any woman, I don't care what her race is or age is, if she's in the company of a Native American man, she should feel safe. Oh. But do treatment programs teach them that? If you're really traditional fathers, man, if there's a woman in your presence, she should feel safe because she's with a Native American man. Oh. Do you think that's something to teach? Mm-hmm. Yes. Man, understand something. When you really appreciate your womanhood and motherhood and manhood, you'll be surprised. I said, I teach this to my fathers. And I said, you get it. You get it. Remember, if anyone is in your presence, she should feel safe if you're a traditional Native American man. And that's the true Native way. Oh. Do you think that's wrong to teach them that? No, it's not. It's not. Now, next slide. Personal identity. This is the perception we have about ourselves over the course of our life. This includes our lifestyle, culture, family, and parts of our lives we have no control over. Race, gender, body image. In other words, I say this. I had one of my staff members. She was a Caucasian lady. And we went to a meeting one time a few years ago, and she got up with all room full of Native Americans. And she says, hi, it's nice to be here. My name is so-and-so. And she said this, I'm sorry I'm not Native American. She gave a good presentation. We go back to the office. I sent them to her. The next day we had staff meeting. And she gave a report on her presentation. And she said, Mr. Pooley, how do you think I did? You gave an excellent presentation, but I'm very disappointed in you. I said, she said, what did I do wrong? Let me tell you what you've done wrong. I said, you know what? You've insulted your parents. You've insulted your forefathers. Because you said, I'm sorry, I'm not Native American. You have no say-so in the color of your skin. You have no say-so on your heritage. And the last thing you need to do is to apologize for who you are.
That's right.
Be proud of your heritage. Be proud of your race. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of our Native people saying, I'm more Indian than you. Come on. Do you speak your language? You're too fair. Get off it. Mm-hmm. Get off it. And if you can't speak your language, if you're raised in the city, that was your circumstances. Don't apologize for it. And I get on my men on that. They try to think I'm more than you know what? I'll get to the biggest addiction in the world. Okay, back now. To find your true identity only comes through and by truth. But some people love lies. We all love lies because we hide behind lies. We hide behind deceptions. We hide behind secrets. When there's lies, deception, and secrets, there is always corruption. Every single time. And guess who does that the most? They're called politicians.
Yeah.
Lies, deceptions, and secrets, there's always corruption, always. Now, but how do you find out who you really are? Is it only comes through and by truth. And that's the truth. Now, let's go on. I'm running out of time. Diana, where's she at? How much time do I have left? I got 10 minutes?
All night. All night.
That's right. And that is purpose. You got to have purpose in your life. You got to bring purpose to your life. Have you seen people that you go to somebody's, maybe you see when you go to somebody's house, one of your relatives, and you sit there acting all cool. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just chilling. You go back a month later, I'm just kicking it. The next one, I'm just hanging. Simply put, they're wasting their life away. But when you bring purpose to their life, they get things done. Now, purpose, why? Because it brings us direction. It brings self-improvement, it brings self-discipline. It brings greater meaning to life. It develops self-worth and self-esteem. It helps us define a plan to overcome our problems. Bring purpose to your life and you'll get things done. I want you to have a purpose-driven life. I work with my clients having a purpose-driven life. With a good self-worth, a good identity and purpose, you can solve any and all problems that come into your life, and I promise you, you can. Mm-hmm. That's how the Creator designed us to take care of our own problems. And you can. Next slide. Now, this is the one I talk to my people about. We talked about the word spirituality. What the heck is spirituality? I try to put things in a process. Now, this is not religious. This is cultural. I have worked with over 400 tribes throughout my professional career. From Prince Edward Island, which is up in Nova Scotia, to Hawaii, from Alaska to Florida. All throughout Canada, from Prince Edward Island all the way to the Yukon. And every single tribe believes in the Creator, and they believe in spirituality. Mm-hmm. Every tribe. Now, let's break it down of who you really are, identity. There are two separate parts of you, and this is cultural. There's two separate parts of you. There's mortality, that's the body. It's the mortal body. And it has limitations. It also has strengths. Now, the body requires four things. It needs air in a matter of minutes, or it's going to have brain damage. It needs water, good water. It needs food, and it needs rest. If it doesn't get those four elements, it's soon going to die. Am I right? We all know that. Now, when it comes to the spirit, that's a whole separate element. Now, when the spirit and body come together, that creates life. And that's the soul of a person, when the body and spirit come together. Now, what's the magic glue that keeps body and soul together? You know what it's called? It's called hope. Hope. So when I go to a prison, my job is this: to find out what kind of hope they have going for them, and to bring them new hope. To strengthen the hope they already have and bring them new hope. Like, how many in this room have ever had to borrow money? Anybody borrow money besides me? Is it fun to borrow money?
No.
No. So if somebody comes to your agency looking for help, I hope they understand. I hope. No one likes to ask for help. So your job as a practitioner is to strengthen the hope they come in with and bring them new hope. Why? Because you're anchoring the soul. You're anchoring the soul. Does that make sense to you?
Oh.
But nobody teaches that. We do. Now the spirit and body are two separate things. They have both limitations. You know what? A spirit cannot pick up this microphone. It's too refined. It needs a body to carry out that function. A spirit can't have children, so it needs a body to carry out that function. So they complement each other. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Now sometimes they fight with each other. The body and spirit fight with each other. You can call the spirit your conscience. I don't care what you call it. I always pick on my wife. Because my wife loves chocolate. Oh, that woman loves her chocolate. Loves her chocolate more than me, okay? If I had chocolate lips, she'd be kissing me all the time. But you know what she is? She's a diabetic. So the body and spirit fight with each other sometimes. Like the body says, go for it, and the spirit says, don't do it, Julia. Who's going to win? Most of the time, the body wins. Ever heard the term, when somebody dies, they're at rest? Why are they at rest? Because the spirit's making all the decisions. It's not fighting with the body anymore. It's making all the decisions. It's at rest. And Native people believe in the spirit world, right? Mm-hmm. People think you go to heaven. You don't go to heaven. Let me tell you why. No unclean thing can enter heaven. I have naughty thoughts once in a while. Do you ever have naughty thoughts? You ever have naughty thoughts? Oh, yeah. That's why he wears a hat, because his naughty thoughts down to the down. We all have naughty thoughts, except Nick. The only one that doesn't have them. No unclean thing can go back to heaven. We have the spirit to refine itself again. Yes, someday you will be reunited, but you have to work at it. Because the Creator doesn't give you nothing for free. You have to work at it. Because you know why when you work at it, it's yours. It becomes yours. You'll defend it. You'll protect it because you worked for it. Like getting a degree. If they just give you a degree, a diploma, you would think nothing. But if you had to study, write papers, go to class, you work for it, it's yours. Same principle. Am I making sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, the spirit needs nourishment too. If it's not nourished, it's not going to die because it's perfect. You see, your spirit is for eternity. It will never die. But your spirit, if it's not nourished, it gets hard and brittle. And some people, their minds and hearts are just like this. You can't teach them jack. Now, many times, they had to close down, they had to shut down for their own protection. Because they were being abused, they were being neglected, they were being abandoned, they were being molested. So their spirits just began to shut down for their own protection. So now we got to nourish it. And how is the spirit nourished? This is spirituality. Your spirit cries for love, true, pure love. It cries for that. It cries for truth. Pure truth. Let me say something about lies. When you lie to yourself, when you believe your own lies, you'll have good days and bad days. When you believe your own lies, like, I'm no good, I can't change. All those are lies. When you believe your own lies, you go up and down. There's something worse than that. When you start trusting in your own lies, your life doesn't go like this. It's a steady decline south. There's something even worse than that. Is when your lies become your truth. When lies become your truth, you're never going to leave. You're going to live in a world of misery. And you could be a multi-billionaire and live in a world of misery because your lies are your truths. And you can have a PhD, a billionaire, you'll be miserable. I promise you, you will be. Now, but because your spirit cries for truth. It also cries for peace. I tell a lot of my fathers, you've been troublemakers a long time. Let's now become peacemakers. And where do you start? If you have a spouse, you bring peace to your wife. Now, have you ever seen kids, mom and dad's fighting? They just want to stop. Don't close their ears like that. Because their spirits are crying for peace. Now, some people also, they've done some really bad things, And they drag their shame and regret with them everywhere they go. They won't let, but there's a process you got to go through, people, to eliminate that torture you're doing to yourself. Because if your guilt, your shame, whatever, there's a process you got to go through. And I say, I will use an example. Let's just pretend, I say, there's a magical key to your heart. I can help you find that key, but only you can turn it and pull it out of your heart, and only you can unshackle yourself to your past. Only you can do that. No therapist can do it, no mom and dad can do it, no spouse can do it, only you can do it. With the help of the Creator. And let's begin to unshackle yourself. So what happens when you go through that process, you come out with a peace of mind, and a peace of conscience, and a peaceful heart. You have basically transformed yourself from the old you to a new you. You may look the same, but your mind and heart are changed.
Oh.
I want to teach you how to do that. And I'm teaching you Native American 101. And then I'm teaching the graduates. I know, Uptown and Free University, they don't have to teach stuff like that. And the last one is freedom. Your spirit cries for freedom. Now, I've never met a man or woman who wants to be in prison. They want to be free. They've been thinking how to escape from prison. I've never met a man or woman that wants to be a slave to addiction. Any kind of addiction. But you know what? We stop at drugs and alcohol. But you know what? Those are minor addictions as far as I'm concerned. One addiction to me is when you consistently get angry. That's an addiction. Laziness can be an addiction. Sex can be an addiction. And those are eternal. Alcohol, you can drink from the outside and drink drugs, but there's some eternal addictions that can happen to us. You know what the worst addiction is? It's called personal pride. I'm better than you. I know how to speak my language. You're too fair. I have a PhD. So what? Am I any good? You see what I'm saying? Some people are in love with themselves and their own titles. Get off it. Get off it. And I get in the face of my fathers and mothers. I want them to change and improve, and they can. But some people are in love with themselves. There's a diagnosis called, what's that called? Diagnosis, remember? Narcissism. Narcissism? Yep. Narcissistic, whatever it is?
Narcissistic. Yep.
You're in love with yourself. Remember that old story of Narcissus? His name was Narcissus. They said he was a handsome, beautiful man. And he walked to this pond to get some water, and he looked in the pond, he saw his reflection, and says, dang, you are handsome and beautiful. And he fell in love with himself, so he would leave the pond. Consequently, he died by the pond. And there are some people that are in love with themselves. Personal pride. Personal pride has brought down entire nations like Rome. Mm-hmm. And just because you have a degree, so what, are you any good? Just because you have 40 years of experience, so what, are you any good? I want you to be good, decent, honorable people. And if you can help our people, remember, you can be just as fair as snow or dark as coal. The thing is that you must first truly love the people whom you serve. That is critical. When you love the people whom you serve, I don't mean to fall in love with them, but you're honestly concerned for their general welfare and their own personal better welfare. Number two, you must love what you bring to them. That's what makes a good mother and father. They love being a mother and father. You must love your job. When you do that, you're halfway there. Then precisely this is what you do. You uplift them. You encourage them. You assist them. When you do those four things, love them, love what you bring, uplift, encourage, and assist, the five things. You know what you have done? You have earned your client's trust and confidence. You must earn it. Don't just give it away to anybody. That's how my client says. Don't just tell your whole life story to anybody. They must earn your trust and confidence. I don't care if they have a degree or not. I don't care if they're Native American or not. They must earn it. Now, I've got 1 minute left, right? You must earn their trust and confidence. Now, I tell people this. Tell people what they need to know and who needs to know it. And that doesn't mean everybody. But some people tell everything. No, don't do that. Remember, tell people what they need to know and who needs to know it. And these are the people that really love and care about you because they will help you overcome those problems. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank Diana for inviting me here. And I'd love to work with you on these things, but listen, there's a lot of work to do. This is how we work with our people. And you know what? Like I said, we've never had a dime from the federal government. You know why? Because in my books, I talk about the Creator God. I talk about prayer. And the government said to me, Al, you can't talk. David, this one last story, I promise I'll quit this. I was in Washington, D.C. I was one of the keynote speakers for the SAMHSA conference, over 1,000 people at the conference. And they pulled me aside and they said, Mr. Pooley, can we talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. He said, can you say nothing about God or the Creator in your talk today? I said, sure. Nothing about prayer. I said, I can do that too. Okay. Then one person said to me, can't you take them out of your curriculum? I said, I can't do that. They said, well, can you change the name from the Creator God to higher power? I said, no. I said, a 747 generals, airplane's a higher power too. I'm not going to say that. And they said, well, can you say, can you change the word prayer to meditation? I said, in this, we don't meditate, we pray. I said, most of our songs are prayers, our dances are prayers. How can I take it out? Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? There's a very well documented genocide against our people. When you tell me I can't talk about the Creator and prayer, that's in the form of genocide. I had nothing to do with it. As soon as I said the word genocide, they just start talking just like that. Mm-hmm. But we found out that we were put on a blacklist. We were at the top of the blacklist for no federal funding.
Wow.
And you know what? We now work with over 300 tribes, like I said. We've been blessed by the Creator God.
Oh.
We're now working on that. And one last thing I will say is, at my age, I need help. And I'd love people to come look more at us and help us take this across the world and say, we're going to teach you Native American 101. Thank you.